So what's the actual first step to go from hobbyist to a professional songwriter? There really is no preset path to go from making music on the side to getting real opportunities. This is the question I hear over and over again. Where do I start when I'm ready to start taking things seriously? For those of you who haven't met me yet, I'm Breana Marin, a professional singer-songwriter. I've created music for TV shows like Raising Kanan, Star and Empire, The Shy. I've also built a career selling songwriting services across the internet. Now I teach indie artists and songwriters how to take the songs dying on their hard drive from idea to income. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do first, what to ignore, and even the steps to take after the steps you took first. I'm going to share the roadmap I wish I had when I first started out. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video because each phase comes with an action you can start doing as soon as tonight. Phase 1, learn. Because you don't know what you don't know. And that's the hard part about being a beginner in music. That's the hard part about being a beginner in anything, honestly. There are tons of mistakes you haven't yet made that will give you the knowledge you need to succeed. And unfortunately, in the music industry, nobody really takes the time to sit you down and fill in all those knowledge gaps. So you show up in these professional spaces and sometimes end up making a fool of yourself, which I've done a plethora of times. Too many to count. For example, I think it's time for a quick story. Early on in my songwriting career, like fresh newbie in Los Angeles, California, all I had was a white MacBook and GarageBand. No mic, headphones from a random store. And at the time I was interning at a label where I was assisting everybody and I ended up meeting this A&R. So he gave me a small folder of beats that he was looking for songs to be written to. I didn't know anything about recording vocals, but I figured I was just gonna shoot my shot. I pretty much stayed up all night recording this song. So the next day I played him the songs and there was a lot of silence, y'all. There was a lot of silence. And I can just tell you that he didn't end up using those songs. In fact, he never asked me to write him another song again. In my opinion, at the time, I thought what I had written was gonna blow him away and this was gonna be the start of my career. This is that movie scene moment for me where I'm like,
I'm being discovered, you guys, actively.
And no, it wasn't that. But anyways, I'm telling you this story to show you that I was green in songwriting. I did not know the flaws or skill and experience I was lacking at the time. And I just jumped right in front of a professional and showed him what I had, even though I was very much so still in like the amateur phase of my life. And these moments weren't proof that I was destined to be a bad songwriter who goes nowhere. I just hadn't yet learned the skills and methodology it takes to become a good songwriter who's going somewhere. The learning era of your career exists to help you fix all of that and make songs that are undeniable. I like to call this phase being in the cab, if you will, because it is a vehicle that's going to take you to the next level. Let's get into what happens in the cab. C for craft. It's a beautiful thing to be gifted, but it's another thing to be skilled and possess the ability to make good songs on purpose, not because you were blessed at birth and it only comes on the 12th night of Christmas, that kind of thing. Take the time to learn technique. For songwriting, expand your vocabulary. Learn poetic devices. Take a course or just watch YouTube videos, that helps too. And also get in-person hands-on experiences. Go to conferences, go to songwriting camps, collaborate with people. Study your favorite artists and dissect their songs and the structures they use to build these iconic melodies and lyrics that we hold on to for lifetimes. And this is important because I've already lived the experiences of not studying your craft. I would just go off of my pure talent. And I would walk into sessions and people would say,
Hey, Breana, why don't you go in the booth and do some melodies?
I didn't really take the time to consider what they were really asking me to do. I would just be in there doing the most for no reason, and people would just let me. I would be in there for 15 minutes going to town on a bunch of nonsense. It wasn't until I connected with my mentor, I was interning for him, it wasn't until I watched him working in sessions and realizing when he was going into the booth, there was a plan. It wasn't just ad-libbing, he was formatting verses, pre-hooks, and even inserting words into them. And I was just like, I didn't think that far ahead. But this isn't something, this is common sense probably to most people. To me, no, it wasn't. I thought people just wanted to hear me sing. But a little bit of experience and time helped me understand more of the formatting and thought process behind doing melody in the booth. I had never written music like that before. Audio. The reality is, packaging the song is part of learning the craft. And when I say packaging, I don't just mean, oh, you have like nice cover art. Packaging in the sense of, once you've written and recorded the song, what does it actually sound like? Is the packaging aesthetic, or is it a nightmare? I've seen time and time again, great songs, great ideas, great melodies get lost in a bad mix. I believe it's worth your time to learn at least the basics of audio engineering. You don't need to become the next Dave Pensato, but at least be able to export your songs with a professional sound. That means no audio clipping or distortion. You're gonna want that lead vocal to be leveled out as far as dynamics are concerned. That means you're probably gonna need to learn a little bit about compression. You also wanna make sure your voice isn't pitchy and going flat, sharp, and everywhere except for the correct note. And you want to have a light understanding of EQ to make sure your song and vocals aren't muddy and chaotic. Okay, so let me take you back down memory lane very quickly, I promise. After my whole learning era and playing songs for people that didn't sound so great, I finally decided to get serious and upgrade my setup. I Googled around and figured out that most of the engineers at the recording studios I was going to were using Pro Tools, so I decided to use Pro Tools. I found a bundle on Guitar Center, which gave you the Pro Tools license, an inbox, which was Avid's interface at the time. I'm not sure if that's still a thing. And it also came with a mic. It wasn't like the greatest mic in the world, but it was better than the laptop mic I had been using. And plus, I got all of the stock plugins that come with Pro Tools. So I buckled down, started watching tons of YouTube tutorials, and if I was sitting in a session, I would watch what the engineer was doing and ask questions if they seemed like they were cool with me asking questions. Started recording my own upgraded demos at home, sent that demo to a couple of friends just like for fun to show them what I was working on, and one of those friends happened to be interning at a boutique label, and they played the songs for the owner of the boutique label, who was managing a few songwriters who were doing really well. She was actually impressed by the songs and said she could hear my potential and invited me to start recording at her studio with other writers and producers who had been coming around, which enabled me to build my first real catalog of like 20 to 30 songs. And those were the new songs I started taking around to meetings, which led to me signing with a manager and later connecting with an entertainment attorney who led me to my first publishing deal. Next, we have business, the B in cab. So the business aspect is going to come into play once you've gotten to a place where people are interested in your music and they're interested in collaborating with you and working with you in some way, shape, or form. A huge mistake I've been guilty of making, and I see tons of other creatives making, is not asking enough questions and also focusing only on the money you'll get in the moment. I think as opportunities start to come in, it's easy to get excited and swept up in all of the possibilities. Let the little details and fine print go over your head. For example, when I started selling my music online, I'd get pretty wrapped up in the numbers on the front end and disregard any other details. Not all the time, but there were times that I could have been more diligent about the complex details of the projects I was saying yes to. An example I can think of off the top of my head was working with a client on Sound Better, and I was more excited that they were coming back to me every single month. So I was always getting this set amount of money from them, and their projects were fairly easy to work on. They were work for hire, so I didn't have to write anything, I didn't have to do anything. I was mostly just a vocalist, and then I would add like my own spin on background vocals and all kinds of things like that. And there were several occasions I've heard that particular client's songs on really popular television shows. And because I signed a work for hire, the only money I was given was the upfront fee at the start of the project that we agreed on. And that just shows I wasn't asking enough questions, because if I would have even just asked what was the purpose of the project or what did they intend on using the finished project for, I would have then learned that it was something that they were pitching to music libraries and sync opportunities, place, and I could have negotiated a percentage of the placements that they landed. I could have continued collecting royalties and sync fees that came up because of this project. Something quick that you can do for yourself to expand your music business knowledge is just grab some books. There's 2 books that I personally reference all the time when there's something that feels too complex that I'm not understanding. First is the classic. I'm sure everyone has heard of this. If not, I'm glad to be the first to introduce you to it. All You Need to Know About the Music Business, Donald S. Passman. It's all categorized under like record deals, royalty computations, deal points. There's so many chapters, but when you're in this scenario and you want to make sure you're knowledgeable, it's really helpful. The other book that's really helped me, especially in sync licensing, is The Musician's Guide to Licensing Music. I did read a lot of it. This book helps me understand the perspective of all the players that need to be at the table to help you generate more income with your music. So if those are things that interest you, I will drop the links to those books in the description box. I just actually find those books to be helpful, and I reference them when there is something I need to know about. So now that we've broke down everything that happens when you're in the cab phase, I want to give you an action plan that you can start on literally today, and it will help get you ready for phase 2, which we will talk about in a second. I'm gonna pull out my notes for this. Step 1, get set up to record as soon as possible. You don't have to break the bank to do this. You can start with what you already have around your house, just like I did with the MacBook and GarageBand. It was what I had at the moment, and I did what I had to do. The outcome wasn't great, but it's still an experience that I learned a lot from. Start with something free if you don't have the money to splurge on a digital audio workstation. There's GarageBand, there's BandLab. I believe even Pro Tools has a free version now for beginners that you can start out with, and then once you get the hang of it or you decide that you're committed to it, you can get the full version of Pro Tools when you're ready, or even upgrade from GarageBand to Logic when you're ready. Once you get set up with your DAW, I would recommend getting a template for yourself. This is something that you can either take the time to build your own template, which I have a full video on building GarageBand templates on my channel. I will link that somewhere up here or in the description box for you to check out. Or you can look online and buy a pre-made template from an engineer or somebody that has the sound that you're looking for. A third option, which is what I've done in the past, is go find an audio engineer at a studio. Even if you just pay for like a day of a few hours of studio time to make this happen, whatever it is, if you have the budget to do so, ask an audio engineer to make a custom template for you. You can send them a vocal sample and let them build it off that, or like go to where they are and let them build you something, and they'll send you the file and you set it up in your DAW. Then once you get set up with your free DAW, your template, you can use stock plugins. Don't worry about plugins and stuff until maybe you get a little more advanced and know what you're doing. Then you're ready to start toying around with songs. You can download beats from YouTube, you can buy beats from beat licensing platforms, or if you happen to be connected with producers, ask around and see if anybody will send you a batch of beats to play with. Something else I love to do is use royalty-free loop and build your own songs from there. And obviously in the beginning, you don't have to get crazy. Even if you just start downloading chords, like piano chords or guitar chords that are speaking to you, put those in Pro Tools and just start recording songs to them. And then you'll have some kind of skeleton of an idea that later you can build out with a producer, or if you are good at producing, you can build it out yourself. But at least then you're not stuck in the frenzy of where do I find beats. You can use simple stuff. You can use those royalty-free loops from a paid source like Splice, or use the free ones in GarageBand, Logic, or whatever DAW you're using. So after you get your recording set up together, you're gonna be ready to start experimenting with songwriting, finding your sound, and improving your sound. In my experience, my songwriting greatly improved when I started writing every day and getting feedback on that instantly. And that's the reason why I think it's important for you as a songwriter to start getting your reps in and really building that creative muscle. And to help you do that, I have created a free 30-day songwriting challenge. You will get 30 days worth of songwriting prompts straight to your email inbox every day for 30 days. along with a checklist to help you grade yourself and give yourself feedback if there's no one around who can help you critique your work. I've also noticed on the YouTube community tab, all of us can post in there now. So if you feel comfortable, drop your songs in our community tab during your 30-day challenge. I'm gonna drop the link to join the songwriting challenge in the description box when you're ready. Phase 1 was our learning era. Phase 2 is all about building. So at this point, you've nailed down all the basics, and now you need to start building proof. This is where you create a body of work that speaks for you. This is what you play in meetings. This is what you send when somebody's asking about your sound. If you don't build a catalog of music, people won't really know what you're capable of. Your catalog becomes your resume, especially if you don't have placements or any notable accolades or awards to attach to your name. A strong catalog has the power to get you into rooms that you aren't in yet. This is what lets a manager, an A&R, or a music supervisor or a publisher understand your voice, your songwriting, and level of professionalism in a matter of seconds. When I ended up signing with that manager at the boutique label, we started recording in that studio every day for at least a year or two. And luckily, I wasn't alone. My manager and the producer I was working with were there, who had way more experience in the music industry to help me start to understand where I was going wrong. If a line was weak or a melody wasn't that strong, we would mark it and try to come back and beat it later. We didn't abandon songs. Even if something wasn't Grammy worthy, we would finish it and add it to the catalog. If a lyric or a melody wasn't that impactful or catchy, we would try our best to beat it. And if we couldn't beat it, we would leave it, but we wouldn't abandon the song. Even if the song didn't turn out to be Grammy worthy, we would finish it in its entirety and add it to the catalog. You can imagine by the end of the year, we had created a really large catalog. And of course, and in the long run, I didn't end up landing placements with those particular songs. It still paid me back in so many different ways. It opened up so many different doors. The same songwriter who I was interning for a few years prior, who hated my music, heard this new batch of music, was impressed, and started inviting me to co-write on projects that he was working on, which did end up leading me to my first placements with major artists. Once you're done building your catalog, it's time to create access. Give that catalog a home so people can access all of your music. You can start with something simple like a landing page that has your bio, a professional photo, and a playlist of your songs, or a link to something like Disco that has your entire catalog of music in it. This would also be the time to consider if you want to start selling your songwriting services online, because now you have actual proof of what you can provide. Once you've finished the steps of building your catalog and creating a home for your catalog, it's time to develop what I like to call a placement plan, or your monetization plan for your music. This is different than just building a home, setting up a website, and leaving your music there and hoping somebody discovers it. Your placement plan is something that requires you to be proactive and actively create opportunities for yourself. Take a look at your catalog and think hard about what you would really like to see happen with it. Is it an album that you would like to secure distribution or get funding for a music video and marketing? Do you want to take your catalog and try to secure a deal with a publisher or a manager or an entertainment attorney if you have avenues to reach any of those people? If you don't, how can you start to make those connections? There are tons of grants and opportunities across the internet that you may not know of but could be qualified for. Sit down and really think through a plan that you can execute on. And once you have all that together, you're ready for phase 3. Launch. In phase 3, we are done making plans. It's all about execution. It's finally time for your songs to leave the laptop and land in front of a real person, a decision-making person. It's all about taking a proactive approach, knocking on doors and seeing who's gonna let us in. The first time I felt like a real professional was when I signed my publishing deal. And that deal only happened because my catalog proved that I was capable of making good music. And that's the goal of phase 3, putting your music to work and letting it create opportunities. So phase 3 can look very different for different people, depending on their goals. If you're an artist, you'll probably be focusing more on releasing singles, social media campaigns, your album, building social media series around it to draw attention to yourself, ad campaigns, maybe even PR and touring. If you're a songwriter, you might be more focused on getting placements with major artists or a publishing deal, working with music libraries, or setting up your website so you can start to build up your own client base. This is also the time where you may need to brace yourself mentally because you might face rejection. If you're reaching out to people, some people may not respond and some people may not like your music. It's not the end of the world, and you shouldn't take it as your sign to stop doing what you're doing. You're gonna have to build up a tough skin, keep going, and find your people. Find the people who want to say yes to you. Find the people who need you so that you always have something in the pipeline. So I was rambling on for like a good 10 minutes. My camera storage was full. So I started editing and I wanted to finish my point. Phase 2 and phase 3 are going to be a constant loop. You're gonna need to keep expanding your catalog, letting it evolve as you evolve as an artist, and launching new projects, new ideas, new series, planting seeds along the way because some seeds do take years to pay off. Every song you make, every placement you get, every client you take is all stacking into something bigger. And as you keep looping through phase 2 and phase 3, you are a working songwriter and hopefully generating income and new opportunities with your music. For those of you who have been asking, where do I start? What do I do first? You now have a complete roadmap of 3 phases: learn, build, then launch. In the learning era, you need to nail down the basics. You should be getting your recording setup together, learning the basics of audio engineering, improving your songwriting, practice and write every single day for the next 30 days, do the 30-day songwriting challenge, simultaneously dibble and dabble in the ins and outs of the music business, and then move on to phase 2. Start building that catalog. Once you have a solid foundation, build your website, join songwriting platforms, create your artist profiles, spruce up your social media, and then make a detailed plan so that you can be prepared to launch and start making money in phase 3. No more waiting, no more planning. This is when we press go. There's a million different ways you can become a working songwriter or professional in the music industry. This is just one of those many. As soon as this video is done, start taking action in phase 1. And if you still need help figuring out where exactly you are in your music industry journey, I suggest you watch this video next. It picks up where this video left off.